Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stage Door. My name is Sam.
My name is Ryan.
Yay! Where theater fan and actor collide.
Indeed.
I feel like I keep trying to slide in the rebrand and the mission statement and kind of the vision of this channel for anyone who is still catching up. We are the Stage Door now. Woo!
Yeah, we're really leaning into the theater nerd entertainment insider scoop wicked trailer of it all.
You have seen us react to quite a few Am I the Asshole subreddits on Reddit, all based around musical theater. Well, today we are finally reacting to your Am I the Asshole musical theater related stories. We've posted a couple videos requesting for you guys to drop your stories in the comments, and then I think we kind of forgot about one. So thank you for everyone who has had stories waiting in the comments for weeks now. We finally sifted through and picked a few to debate with you today.
For those of you who are not familiar with the Am I the Asshole game or format, we're going to read a story and we're going to decide if the person who's writing the story is the asshole in the story. They can be the asshole in the story. The other person mentioned can be the asshole in the story. Everyone involved can be an asshole, or there can be no assholes here. We will give our rating after fresh, exciting deliberation, upon which viewing you, the audience, will enjoy.
Heck yeah. Shall we get into the first story, Ryan?
I think we shall, Sam.
Great. Let me so effortlessly and gracefully pull my phone that has you on it out of its tripod. Yeah. High budget over here on the Stage Door. This is how we make a bi-coastal channel work, folks. Bi-coastal. Happy almost Pride Month, everyone.
Haha! Just wait till we're a pan-coastal operation.
What does that mean?
Okay.
All right.
I'll take this first one here. TLDO33 said 2 months ago. No, it wasn't 2 months ago. We just got this. We haven't been sitting on this for 2 months. TLDO33, here's their story. Am I the asshole? I got my friend and I tickets to see The Lion King. Yes, you're the asshole. No, I'm kidding, Lion King.
Ryan.
It's a joke, Lion King. Okay. I asked him, that really was a joke. That was honestly a joke. I saw Lion King on tour last year. It was amazing. Okay. It really was. I asked him what his price range was, and I had a much higher price range. Okay, rich. So I bought 2 tickets that are seated separately. I'm going to be front row. Wait, I'm going to be front row and he'll still be in the orchestra, but not next to me and further back. You know, where the poor people sit. I haven't told him yet. But I realize I may have f***ed up. But I mean, it's better than making him pay more than what he wants to, right? And I mean, it's not like you go to the theater to talk or hang out. I love that this was selected for the plot, but you are absolutely the asshole. Really quick viewer's note. I forgot to put in this very important piece of hardware that makes our videos just work so good because we're a pan-coastal operation. So these are AirPods, except they aren't. They're off-brand AirPods that I actually got from Dope or Nope. Am I allowed to say that? Or did you steal them?
Sure.
All right.
I mean, technically they were my work headphones, but it's fine.
Okay, cool.
With this story, listen, I know it feels kind of like an obvious asshole situation, but there's a way in which I can kind of understand if however, they were transparent with their friend, which clearly they weren't.
That is the part.
If I'm going to Wicked and my friend and I have different budgets, no, honestly, I'm going to want to experience it with them because I've seen that show 1,000 times. And if I take someone to Wicked, I'm watching them watch Wicked.
You know what?
You know what I mean?
You know what? Okay, my original take on this was exactly what you just said, which was there is a world for this to work out, but
yeah,
you have to be transparent. But I don't know. You have to sit in the front row of the Lion King so bad that you're just gonna ditch your friend whether you have a conversation with them or not?
Also, wait. We'll split the difference, big spender. You don't have to sit front row orchestra. Go center or like back row orchestra and make up the difference for their ticket.
They're saying, I'm going to be front row, and he's still in the orchestra, but not next to me and further back.
He's still in the orchestra?
So it's literally just like, I have to sit front row. I think you're an asshole for that. Like, if you guys
Wait, Ryan.
What?
Wait, Ryan, sorry.
Oh, there are fans.
Just an editor's note. And for, I think, a tonal note. Yeah. And we can even leave this in the video because I think it's a good explanation.
Yeah.
When we do these videos, we typically think we're talking to strangers on the internet, and I just kind of dropped into the fact that these are fan submissions. So let's maybe approach this with a little bit more grace. Still honesty,
dear fan,
but
I know I speak for both of us when I say we appreciate you being a fan of the Stage Door and all of our endeavors, and also. A word of advice.
And also,
I think you might come off as a bit of an asshole if you are so insistent on sitting 15 rows further towards the front than enjoying the experience with your friend. Because no, you're not talking or hanging out at the theater, but you can look at each other when something cool happens. You can tap each other on the leg and give each other a thumbs up. You can not have to wrestle through crowds of people to find each other at intermission. There actually is something, you know, you don't go to the movies and sit separately. You go to the movies and sit together. And if someone really wants to sit in the front row of the movie and someone else says, I hate sitting in the front row, usually you compromise. And I just kind of feel like that's what should have happened in this too.
Exactly. Like, theater is an incredible shared experience.
Or it can be.
I would also just give the general advice too to like most people for most shows, front row is not worth it.
No, it's so aggro.
Like center to back, or it's sometimes back orchestra, especially for The Lion King, is actually like perfect. Yeah. I think regardless, this should have been a communicated conversation between you and your friend.
Yeah. Really what this comes down to is perception. Like, technically, are you doing anything wrong? Not really. You want it this way, they want it that way, so they do their thing, you do your thing. But I just worry that you're going to be perceived by your friend as an asshole, that you put yourself in the front, you didn't talk about the fact that you were putting yourselves separate, and that if you two have different budgets and you have the means to potentially support them to have a more enriched experience, that you didn't offer that, on top of the fact that if he's still in the orchestra just a little further back, that's a totally acceptable place for you both to be, so I don't really understand why you had to bail on him to go to the front row. And I just think he'll perceive you as kind of, like, mean for that.
But thank you so much, TLD033, for being an active participant in this. Lots of love.
Sorry that you were the guinea pig. I'll be nicer as we go on, everyone. Sorry.
You know, sometimes we like ham things up.
Yeah, it's for the vibe. Sam's the good cop, I'm the bad cop. It's always been the way this is.
Oh boy. Okay, this next one is a long one from Luna. So maybe we'll popcorn this one a little bit. Okay, Ryan?
Okay.
I might possibly have a good fan submission for this.
We'll see, Luna.
So I was in a few high school productions, 2 of which were plays and 1 was a musical. Giving us the details. Thank you, Luna. The people casted for these productions were ever only people who were in the theater class, and I'm not sure why. Perhaps just because our teacher wanted to give us more priority. It was never a thing where just any student could sign up for the play. But this honestly sucked because everyone in this class was so incredibly incompetent, including the teacher, who of course directed all the shows.
Luna's got beef, bro.
Luna, tell me how you really feel. Okay. Honestly, popcorn.
I always felt like I was the only one who ever took anything seriously, whether it was learning my lines or actually speaking up when on stage, because we also did not have mics. Our school was a very small one in a small rural town, so nothing we had was professional, including our teacher. Another stab at the teacher. That teacher. No one would act professional in what they were doing. Everyone would goof off, no one would learn their lines, and it got so bad that for one show, we had to postpone it about 2 months just because it was like a week before the show and no one had their lines memorized except for me. Oh, Christ. The teacher would also never berate people hard enough for this. She just basically let it happen. I don't exactly remember if I actually did or not, but I think I remember going off on some people for their... I don't exactly remember if I actually did this or not, but I think I remember going off on some people for their lack of seriousness during this. Maybe this was something I only did in my head, which is why I remember it. But I do remember I had said something to them. I vaguely remember telling them in a really irritated tone that if they don't pull themselves together, then they're going to make a fool of everyone involved and not just themselves. Popcorn.
I was pissed, or at least I think I was. Just kidding. I was pissed and my anxiety was at an all-time high during that entire run because I was absolutely terrified of these people messing up on stage, which I knew would probably happen. It did. And embarrassing not only them, but myself due to their unprofessional behavior. Now, I get that this is high school. Of course, it's not going to be professional, but as someone who loves theater and acting as much as I do, and as someone who has immense social anxiety to begin with, them acting like a fool just made me go insane. And even in high school, I would expect more competency than what was being presented. As I said before, the teacher didn't help with any of this. In fact, she was just as bad, if not worse. She would be changing dialogue, choreography, and everything just a mere couple of days before the show. I know things with the show can constantly change, but I don't think they need to be changed that late, because that's just a recipe for disaster and really shows how unprepared she was. She would also forget props and wouldn't bring them until the day of, so we almost got no practice in with them. That's crazy. All of that combined made me so stressed and anxious that I had diarrhea for at least a week before the first
or at least I think I did. I can't quite remember.
It was nuts. So, the big question. Was I the asshole for going off on people and thinking I was better than everyone else? Well, you never said that in the story. Because I was the only one who ever had my shit together. I don't know, Luna, did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough thing. Like, for going off on people, like, are you the asshole? I don't know, because you yourself have not confirmed whether or not this actually happened. I'm gonna give this an everyone's the asshole rating. The teacher is an asshole. They are incompetent at their job. The students who you are referring to are assholes. It is high school. It's not supposed to be professional. It's not going to be professional. But why be a part of something if you're not going to take it seriously? You are joining this for a reason. Like, why join baseball if you don't want to play? Why join cross country if you don't want to run? Why join theater if you don't want to learn lines or put on a production? So the teacher's an asshole because she's not leading. The students are an asshole because they're not doing their part. And unfortunately, I think Luna's a little bit of an asshole because one of two things has happened. If all of this happened and you did something about it, but you did it in a way that was like ambitious and positioned you as a leader, you'd be the queen of this story. But if you either didn't do anything or did just kind of be like shady and vindictive to everyone, and you yourself thought you were better than everyone else, that is giving a little bit of ego. I always say the difference between confidence and arrogance is comparison. And it sounds like you're kind of comparing yourself to everyone else, which, granted, they all sound terrible. They're assholes too. I just think, you know, that would save you some drama and ultimately lead you to a better result if instead of comparing yourself to everyone and putting yourself above them, you took charge as a leader rather than as like the winner of this whole situation.
I do think just some other food for thought. Luna did specify that this is a small school, so theater might be a mandatory class. Like this this might not be something that people, like, did they specify that this is something you have to sign up for, or that just the plays and musicals are like only people who are in theater class? Because my high school was a big high school, but we still had, like, everyone had to at least take theater in their freshman year.
Oh, theater was an elective at my school.
Interesting. Yeah. So for us, I think it's kind of the only way we had a theater class is if they just made everyone do it, because otherwise it probably would have only been like 5 or 6 kids. And so a lot of times what happens is, like, smaller schools, it's just kind of like they put it together. So that's the bit of grace that, like, I do have for, you know, for kids who just didn't want to be there and didn't have the same passion, or even maybe the teacher. Like, I think it sucks because it makes me really sad to think about the fact that, you know, Luna's experience in this school was, you know, a theater kid who wanted the place to pursue this passion and wanted the place to, like, explore and experience this. And this school just clearly wasn't the place due to either lack of interested faculty or students or peers that shared the same interest. So I understand that it was probably a frustrating experience, but also I don't know that I would necessarily say that that's, like, the teacher's fault for not taking musical theater as seriously. Like, you know, I feel like I have a little bit of a wiggle room for kind of everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you put it like that, it's more of a no one's the asshole. Because if you're trapped in a situation where theater is mandatory and therefore you have a lot of people in a show that they don't want to be in, then Luna's not the asshole for being like, this situation sucks, because it does suck.
Exactly. I would lean more towards no one's the asshole. I just think that Luna has a lot of passion for musical theater, obviously, and wants it to be taken seriously, but unfortunately isn't in the environment that's best for that.
Wow, that's a much more mature take on that. Maybe I'll just edit out everything I said. Okay, we have one more, and this one is a doozy. I have a theater-related Am I the Asshole story. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that if my grandma's funeral was on the day of opening night of the show I was in, I wouldn't be able to go to the funeral? So this was several years ago, and my sister and I have made up over this, but I still think about it sometimes. I was in a community theater production of Androcles and the Lion, Androcles, I don't know, I don't go here, as the Lion, and about a week before the opening night, my grandma died. I should say that in this version, the Lion actually has quite a few lines and is not just the silent roar, the silent roll, or just roaring or something like that. The other characters can't understand him, but he talks to the audience a lot. I also didn't have an understudy. If I missed the opening night, the theater group would have had to cancel the performance. It looked at one point like the funeral was going to be on Friday, which was the day the show opened. The funeral was in another state, and it would have been about an 8-hour drive, so there was no way I could go to the funeral in the afternoon and be at the theater in time for curtain. I told my mom and sister separately over the phone that I wouldn't be able to be there for the funeral if it was on Friday, as that was opening night. My mom didn't understand, but accepted it. She did, however, refuse to tell the family members planning the funeral that I wouldn't be able to make it if it was on Friday, and to see if they could make sure it was another day. She didn't think they would understand, and she also said I wasn't to tell them that I was in a play if the funeral was on a day I could attend. She didn't think they would understand, and she also said I wasn't supposed to tell them that I was in a play if the funeral was on a day I could attend. I don't know why she said that. That's quite strange. My sister also did not understand nor accept it. She yelled at me over the phone and said, "So you care more about this stupid play than you do about your own grandmother." It got to the point that my wife grabbed the phone from my hand, told my sister that the conversation was over, hung up on my sister, and told me to lie down and have a good cry so I could calm down. It's a good wife. When my sister tried to call back, my wife refused to answer the phone. As it turned out, the family members planning the funeral found that it would be a lot cheaper to have the funeral on Monday, so they scheduled it for Monday, so I was able to attend the funeral. I also made sure one of the performances was dedicated to my grandma. That's very sweet. The director even let me put a picture of my grandma in the lobby of the theater. My sister did apologize at the funeral. It seemed she had told a friend of hers who did theater about what happened, and her friend admonished her for what she had said to me. I still think about it from time to time and wonder if I was the asshole. So it's tough because it all worked out. So it's kind of like no one's the asshole. But just for fun, let's pose a hypothetical. what if the funeral did end up being on Friday and this person did their show instead?
Everything as it is, I don't think it would be super like disrespectful or unforgivable to go on with doing the show, because clearly like they still honored their grandma in some way, even though I know that they were able to make it to the funeral. But like, I think in the world where they couldn't make it to the funeral, they probably still would have like requested to dedicate the show and put a, you know, photo of their grandma in the lobby. Like, is it crazy that like I don't think that would make them an asshole?
Well, you can't plan for death. Yeah. No one dies on a schedule. I don't think people think about it that way. Like, I think, you know, funerals, it's like you have to be there for them. Well, first of all, they're dead. Like, sorry.
I mean, funerals are for the living. Funerals are for the living. We forget that sometimes.
If we die and nothing happens, then my grandmother does not know, because she's dead. And if we die and we go somewhere and we get to watch everyone down below, then my grandma gets to watch my play. And she understands because she's an angel and she doesn't have any stress anymore. So I think this says a lot more about like complicated family dynamics than it really says about any sort of relationship with death. But like at the end of the day, like if someone dies, the funeral has to be soon, you know, because of like how bodies decompose and stuff. So like they died on this day and the funeral is on this day and we're going to try to get everyone to be there. But like, and yes, there's bereavement in some cases. A lot of the times you can get out of your job, but sometimes there's truly nothing to be done. And like, I can't live in a world that like that makes you an asshole. It's like, okay, do I not come to the funeral and let down all of these people that I'm doing this show for? Or do I do this show and not even let down my family, but just tell my family who should support me that this is a situation of grieving that I'm going to have to defer, and then have some moment for all of us to be together in the future. This I can reschedule because it's my family. They can be for me at any time. This I can't reschedule. Opening night is one night, and all of these people's grandmother didn't die, so I can't expect them to all get off the train just because I have to go the other direction, you know?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it is a lot about family dynamics, because even like with your final statement, it's like you can't, you know, redo a funeral, just like you can't redo an opening night. What a funeral is supposed to be is a time to honor the dead and hopefully be surrounded by supportive, you know, family members and friends. And there is another time to do that. Like that, you know, like, again, the way that everyone deals with grief is different, and it's allowed to be different due to these circumstances. So yeah, like I don't think that missing a funeral to do your job in something that has, you know, a lot of other people depending on you for, I butchered that, but I don't really care. You get what I'm saying.
My final thought on this would be maybe this person's family is the asshole. And the only reason that I would say that is like a matriarchal figure of this family has just died. Everyone is hurting equally. Maybe differently, but equally. Every single person. And if you can't think of it that way, you don't understand how grief works. And so this is a moment where we are all equally grieving. Differently, but equally. It is incumbent on all of us to grant all of us a lot of grace and space to get that figured out. And if what I need to do for my life is to just do this play and figure out a way to grieve grandma at another time, and instead of giving me grace and space, you're going to judge my decision and put a lot of pressure on it, and also not make any room, like, hey, I'm just telling you the only day the funeral can't be is Friday. Okay, we're going to put it on Friday, and we're not going to tell anyone that you can't be there on Friday, and you're not to tell them that there's a reason why you can't be there on Friday. It's like, wait a minute. This doesn't all have to be about me. You can absolutely say, honey, I'm so sorry, we can't change it. But then the follow-up should be, this is hard for all of us. You got to do what you got to do. We understand. We're here for you. If this ends up happening without you, you'll be missed, but we'll figure it out. We're supposed to come together in grief, not push each other aside in grief. And so in that way, I would say it's either no one's the asshole or the family's the asshole, in my opinion. Or the grandma's the asshole for dying.
Don't you know they had a show? Rest in peace, Grandma.
Indeed.
Of Mark.
Indeed.
Rest in peace. Hey, did you enjoy this video? Did you enjoy hearing us share our opinions so confidently? Do you want to see us do this again with your experiences and your stories?
You
promise you won't get offended? Comment them down below.
Yeah, you have such a clear example of how nice and sweet we'll be to you, no matter what your story is. I'm so sorry for all the bullshit I said, you guys.
Thank you all so much for watching. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. And we will see you guys later. Bye.
Hi, Daddy. Are they still Daddy? They're still Daddy.
I don't like them as Daddy anymore, to be honest.
What?
Sorry, I know you love calling the fan base Daddy. I'm moved past it. Sorry, breaking news. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's because we got a divorce, and so it's like they're not Daddy to me anymore.
We'll talk about that more off camera. Goodbye, everyone. Whatever your name is, it'll be revealed soon. Stay tuned. Bye.